Hello. How are you? This is Els Kemney from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we're going to be making kind of a few projects that are all going to come together. So I'm going to get some stuff out. I'm going to be using some double-sided cardstock today, and I'm going to be using some of these little, well, one of these little cards. Not this one, but you know, something similar. And we're going to be using some index cards, some 3x5. So we're going to be cutting these down to 3x5. Okay, I will be back in just a minute and give you a complete list of supplies, and we'll get started. I'll be right back. So we're going to be using one of these cards. These cards are, just for gigglies, 5.5 by 4 1/4, and that's folded. So 5.5 by 8.5 if you're using a piece of paper. Some index cards, or you know, the equivalent thereof, maybe some cardstock. If you're going to use a piece of, you know, paper to make your card, then you know, you can use single or double-sided. It is entirely up to you. You need a paper trimmer, some adhesive for this, some ink and a dauber, and a punch. Either a notch punch or a small circle punch. Okay? Alrighty. Also, if you don't have a plunge style, that's this type of a style where you can push the blade in at any point, you may want a craft knife and a ruler. Alright? So I'm going to clear some stuff, and we're going to come back and we're going to get started with the prep for this, and then we'll get started making the cards. I'll be right back. So I decided we're going to start with the card first, you know, the making your own. So we're going to cut this down. This is a sheet of 12 by 12. I'm going to go ahead and take this strip off, and then we're going to cut this down to 5.5 by 8.5. Paying attention to direction. So 5.5 this way. And then 8.5 this way, because my paper is directional. Okay, 8.5 right there. Okay, so that's basically the same base as this card. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this big paper cutter and get out a smaller one, because really don't need a big one, and I'll be right back. Alright, if you're making your own card, it is 8.5, and you want it to fold in half, so you want to score it at 4 1/4. If you don't have a scoreboard, 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4. Okay, we'll just put our ruler there, nice and straight, and then you can use anything that you have to kind of give it a score. And that will make it easier to fold. Okay? All right. So now we are going to take just a little bit off the one side. And the reason that I'm doing it this way is because we're using a card, and the card would already have, you know. So I'm going to take I'm not going to take anything off of this. I'm going to take a 1/2 inch. Okay? So I'm going to do the same thing with the card, and what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to take off this part right here. Okay. All right. So now I have a card that looks like this. So I'm going to round the corners here and here. if you have a file folder punch, you know, like one of the boards or one of these jobs, you could do the notch if you wanted to and put it in there halfway and give it a, but we're going to do that on this part. So I'm going to bring this down and I'm lining it up. And you'll do the same thing. You'll line it up right at the edge, punch. I'm going to come over here, line it up right at the edge, punch, and then I'm going to get rid of this piece in the middle. Now you can use a circle punch if you want to. You could take just, you know, a piece out of there. It is entirely up to you. Let me grab one of my blades here. So I'm putting my ruler right at where that punch sits. And I'm just going to trim that part off. Look at that. It's a thing of beauty, right? All right, so I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Only on this one, I'm going to go ahead and use this notch to create that look at the top. Okay, then we're going to cut the notch in here. Again, I'm lining this up right to the edge if you're using your board. You'll pretty much do the exact same thing. So right here, lining my ruler up right at where the axis of the notch is. Okay. Well, poppycock. There we go. Get that cleaned up. All right. So now we're going to ink. I'm going to ink all the way around. All the way around. Okay. I'm going to round these corners as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Again, at that halfway point. Because I like that look. You don't have to. You could just do a corner rounder if you want. Entirely up to you. This slot could be bigger or smaller. It's whatever you want. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and ink. So I'm going to ink all the way around, inside and out. On this one, I'm actually just going to round the corner. Just like that. And when I come back, these will be all inked, and we'll move on to the next part, which has to do with those cards, okay? Those index cards or card stock or whatever it is you have that you're using, all right? So I will be back in just a moment. All right, so I have some 5x7 index cards, 5x8 I think, but we're going to be cutting these at 3.5 by 5. 3.5 by 5. And I am using some different colors. You can use cardstock, index cards. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to use, okay? There we go. And you want 3 of these for each one, okay? So go cut those and then come back. For this next part, we're going to want some cardstock that, you know, blends but is not too over the top alike and similar. And we're going to be cutting some pieces. So let's get these out of the way for the moment. And let's concentrate on these. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting 1.5 inch by 2 inch. So let's go. There's going to be 3, 4.5 is going to be all 3 of them. 1.5. And then I'm going to cut these to 1.5. Boop. Boop. All right, so I need 3 of those. Now you can use different if you want to use up some small cardstock, absolutely. And then this one, Let's cut. One and a half. Two. Two. And two. So we just want some small pieces here. 1.5 by 1.5 or 1.5 by 2, doesn't matter. But we just want some small pieces, okay? Getting rid of this. Now, you can do these by hand. Just fold them in half, okay? Fold them in half. Now, you do not have to hit these with your bone folder. You can. You certainly can. If you don't have a bone folder, use your scissors, your ruler, your nail, the end of your dauber, whatever. All right, and then we're going to do these as well. Now, I did these at 1.5 by 1.5. I did these at 1.5 by 2, just so you can see the different look. Okay. All right. So for these, I'm going to use a corner rounder. I'm just going to put it in on the folded side and round the corners. Now, if you have different kinds of corners, you could do it in different styles. Let's see. We'll do this one like a ticket. Okay. If you want to do something like this and you don't have, you know, fancy corner rounders, just use your hole punch and just put like a little nip at the corners. That'll give you some different ones. Now, these I am just going to cut, okay? So from the folded side, I'm going to take a very small wedge to the outer corner, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. From the folded side, small wedge to the outer corner. That's it. Now, I'm going to ink all of these up, and when I come back, we're going to get started putting them on. I'll be right back. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make these tags, these cards, into like file cards. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by rounding the corners on these. Somewhere around here, I have an actual corner rounder. Here we go. Okay. So we're going to round all of these corners. On all of these cards, just because I want to have that uniformity, and it also makes it easier to put them in and out. Okay. Now you could do these fancy if you want to. If you've got fancy corner rounders, you can use fancy corner rounder, make fancy corner. It's entirely up to you. You could just cut them off at an angle and make them look like tags. You can not round them if you prefer not to. You could use a 1/2 inch, you could use a 1/4 inch, you could use an 1/8 of an inch, whatever it is you want to do. Whatever makes you happy. All right. Craft a lunch. All right. So now I'm just going to take these and put them into, you know, piles of 3. And I'm going to take these, and you can glue these on, or you can staple them. These green ones I'm going to staple. Or I would if I had staples in there. Just to give it a little rougher of a look. And then the next one, I'm going to make sure has the same height, but is over a little bit. Get it on there straight. And then the next one over here. All right, these I'll glue on. I have those three. Alrighty, here we go. Gluey, gluey, glue. If the glue works, you never know. My glue may decide that today's the day it doesn't want to. So I'm going to do the middle one first, right in the middle. That'll actually make it easier to place these. All right, and then we're going to do one on the left. Doggies are mad at me. It's windy and they want to come in. We'll get them in a moment. And then we'll do the last one on that side. Again, we're going to line it up. All right, so go get your tabs on, and then when I come back, we're going to finish this project. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so to finish these up, you have two options. One, we can just glue them down. Just glue the small edge. Just a really thin, fine line of glue on the edge, and glue it down. And let that dry. Or, if you want, you can do some gussets. So we've got two pieces here. They're pretty close. And all I'm going to do is just fold them in half. Not very good, but, you know, I folded it. Close enough for hand grenades and horseshoes. And then you can put these on here. So we'll just measure it. Out there. We're going to want two. One for either side. And then we're just going to wedge these. And then glue them in here. So this one right on the edge. And one on the other side. Right along that edge. You could use tape for this if you want to. Entirely up to you. We're going to put some glue on this side and this one. And then we'll go ahead and press this over. Give that just a second to dry. When it's all dry, I'll come back. We're going to show you what it looks like quasi-finished, because I'm not going to decorate. Okay? So I'll be back in just a minute. So in this one, we're going to put these in. And they should fit fairly well. Just like that. Get that in there. Okay, and then on this one, we're going to slide these in. Now, this pocket is a little bit roomier, so these cards can spread out a little bit more. There you go. So like I said, this one's a little roomier because it's gusseted. This one's going to be a little bit snugger, so you're going to get a little less as far as embellishments on these cards. But you certainly can write on them. And you can write on these, and you can put a little bit of an embellishment on them if you'd like. So that's my quick little file folder pocket tabbed card creation. All right, so that's it. That's all I have for you today. If you're new here, hit the button for me. It doesn't hurt, but it sure helps me in the algorithm. Check out both my community tab and my Facebook group. Both of those have a listing that tells you everything that's going on with my channel, if I'm going to be live, if I have a free class coming up, what videos are coming out, all of that kind of stuff. And go over to my Ko-Fi, pick up some free digitals, or scoot on over to my Patreon page and take a look around over there. Until I see you again, stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.